going on, everybody? This is Matt Does Fitness, and if there are two things that I hate in this world, it's people who are intolerant of other cultures and the Dutch. Okay, so I've made this video to talk about this little bad boy, creatine monohydrate. Now, basically I brought it 2.5 weeks ago for the first time ever, and so I'm going to do somewhat of a review on it, if I can say that word, kind of my findings and the research that I've done, because obviously, you know, I'm not a scientist, I haven't conducted any kind of large-scale studies on it, but obviously I can give you my personal experience of it, and I can give you my findings, because I've done a lot of research, I've read around, I spent quite a lot of time reading around different studies and stuff, so I can give you my take on that as well. So, to start with, very briefly, in terms of the findings and the other research done, there's obviously been numerous studies done on creatine, specifically creatine monohydrate, and I mean the overwhelming feedback, the overwhelming findings are that it works. I mean, very kind of simply put, for the majority of people, you're going to experience strength gains and size gains, very simply put. So, if you've never taken it before and you are skeptical for whatever reason, I mean, I personally never took it because I was under the impression that it was expensive and that there were kind of negative side effects. I've obviously come to realise that both of those things are complete myths. I mean, it's very, very cheap. That bag there is 500 grams, which will last me a good probably 2-3 months, and that cost me £10. So we're literally talking, you know, it's dirt cheap. And in terms of negative side effects, there are none. I mean, I've read so many studies kind of trawling, trying to find any proven negative side effects. There seem to be none. They've even done, I mean, I read a study that tested guys who were taking it every day for, I think, 4 or 5 years, and again, there was no negative side effects associated or found as a result of taking the creatine. Obviously, nothing's been done over like 50 years, you know, but you know, there are obviously lots of other things on the market that likewise haven't been tested over that period of time that are accepted as being safe. So, unless you are, you know, super ultra safe, unless you're a kind of safety Nazi, I would say by all means go ahead and take it. Okay, so that's the research. Like I said, I mean, basically, the overwhelming evidence is that it is very, very effective. On top of that, if I just look at the feedback and the comments that I've had, so I made a video a couple of weeks ago saying that I've got creatine now, that I'm going to be taking it. I've made a couple of videos on that kind of topic loosely. Earlier on today, I counted up the feedback. So, I've had 54 comments just on YouTube alone, 54 comments from people saying, different people saying that creatine has worked for them. You know, different, varying kind of points on the scale. Some people say, yeah, you know, I had a bit of a difference, you know, it helped. Other people saying, you know, it was fantastic, it made a massive difference to my strength and or size. I only had 2 people, one of which said it had no effect on them, the other one said it was effective, but they got, like, I think stomach cramps, things like that. So, just putting that into numbers, we're talking about like a 96% or so success rate. So, I mean, you can't really argue with that. The clear, overwhelming evidence seems to suggest that it is very, very effective, and I think most people would agree with that. Now, in terms of my findings, like I said, I've been taking it for 2.5 weeks now. I think, yeah, about 17 or 18 days. I've been taking 5 grams a day, so I haven't loaded it. I know some people say you should load it, you can take maybe 15 or 20 grams a day for the first week or so. I read lots of people's feedback saying that was unnecessary, so I've been taking 5 grams a day. And I mean, this last week, I can't give you any more proof, any better proof, other than the fact that I've PR'd in all 3 of my main lifts. So my squat, my bench, and my deadlift, I've hit a massive PR in the last 3 days on those lifts. Now, obviously, you know, it's a bit of a grey area. You can't say, oh yeah, it's definitely the creatine. I can never prove that, but it's definitely, I can tell you now, it's definitely had a positive effect. Obviously, I'm at the end of my cycle now anyway, so I've been trying to peak for this week, so obviously that has played a part, and I kind of hope to hit PRs anyway, but I definitely believe the creatine is definitely put at least, you know, a few pounds on all 3 of those lifts. I'm very, very confident about that. Now, the funny thing is as well that most of the research that I read said that if you know, like without a loading phase, it would take kind of 2 to 3 weeks for your levels to be saturated, and it and for it to have a kind of a positive effect on your lifts, but I found it worked almost straight away. Now, I know you can say, it's a placebo or whatever, but, I'm very stringent in the way I kind of assess my training, and I feel like I've got a very good understanding of how I feel and how my body works and things like that. And I would say within about 3 to 4 days of taking it, just 5 grams a day, I started noticing a positive effect. I mean, my squats, for example, I would tend to have a good session followed by a bad session, good session, bad session. Since taking the creatine, I've had, I think, 3 or 4 sessions, and every single one has been good. I felt really, really strong consistently. The same goes for my bench most of the time. My deadlift was already kind of on the way up, but again, it's definitely crossed over. I'm very confident of that. So what I would say on that front is that, unless you're desperate to do it, I don't believe you need to load it. Obviously, if you do load it, you're just going to get through it quicker, and you need to go and buy more. And if there ever are any kind of negative side effects that one day, get proven, then I would imagine the more you take each day, the higher chance you have of kind of experiencing any of those negative side effects. So, in my opinion, 5 grams a day is sufficient, and obviously reduces any possible, minimal risk that there could be associated with taking creatine. Now, I mean, on top of that, what I would say as well is that, basically, there are obviously lots and lots of supplements out there on the market. There are so many. I was looking the other day on a popular website which I get my stuff from, and there's ridiculous amount of supplements. I know people who are taking 4, 5, 6 different things, kind of major things. Now, what I would say is that I personally believe a lot of those things are a bit of a waste of money, and there is definitely a large placebo effect. Now, you could argue placebo with any supplement, but I am very, very confident. I would say I'm literally 100% confident that creatine monohydrate has worked for me. It's made me stronger. It's also made me bigger. So another thing, again, you could argue it's coincidence, but I'm fairly sure it's not. My weight hadn't changed for the best part of 2 months. I was pretty much sitting on the same weight consistently. I'd weigh myself maybe once a week or every 5 days or so. My weight hadn't changed for 2 months. In the last 2 and a bit weeks of taking creatine, I've put on 2 kilos, so I think about 5 pounds, just under 5 pounds. Now, I've been eating a lot of food the whole time, the last 2 months, and I don't think that has changed. So there's nothing in my diet that would have suggested that I should be putting on weight any more so than before, and my training's been the same. So obviously you've got to say it's down to the creatine. Obviously, if you're a powerlifter and you're trying to make a certain weight category, that is something you need to bear in mind as a potential negative. But for me personally, I'm still kind of floating around what I think is the right weight category for me, so I can afford to put on a couple of kilos. And obviously with the associated strength benefits, it is definitely worth it. And that's it really. So, I can't really recommend it anymore. What I would say to you is, if you have never taken creatine, and you're not like I said, you're not a safety Nazi, you're not desperately against everything, then I would 100% recommend that you take it. It's very, very cheap, 5 grams a day. My recommendation would be to take 5 grams a day, possibly in the evening, like after your training. It doesn't matter too much, but I would say is take it at the same time roughly each day, so that you have that kind of 24 hours for it to go through the system or whatever. I would say that you will almost certainly experience strength gains and almost certainly experience size gains. So if you don't want to get bigger and you don't want to get stronger, then that's an interesting strategy, but obviously creatine isn't for you. If you do want to get stronger and you do want to get bigger, then I would definitely 100% recommend that you take creatine monohydrate. You've got nothing to lose. That is my basic finding. You have nothing to lose. It's very, very cheap. There are no side effects that have been definitely proven. So why not? Take it. Worst case, if it doesn't work, throw it out. If it does work, then thank me and just send me a check, or give me some money through PayPal, send me clothes, rice, whatever you want to do. And that's that. So hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, as always, and I will see you tomorrow.